Welcome to the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Thursday, August 22nd. I'm Robert Blaskowitz, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times. Joined with me today, Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of The Times. Let's jump right in with state news. Yesterday, there was a kickoff of this campaign, an interesting coalition opposing a movement to have a constitutional amendment against gay marriage.
That is interesting. There are business interests involved, in particular Eli Lilly, Cummins.
Yep.
Two huge heavy hitters.
Big state.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, big in the state.
And so, what this means to me is that, in their case, they've testified against a constitutional prohibition against gay marriage before. Their concern is we want to be able to get all the employees we need, regardless of, their private lives.
Right. It becomes a recruitment issue, and both for, if you're talking about gay people and people who simply support other gays,
right.
They would see Indiana as being less welcoming.
Right.
To that segment of the population.
And to me, this means the pressure's on for the governors. Mike Pence, running for office, said, you know where I stand on social issues, but recruiting economic development basically is job one. Yeah. Well, okay, so here's where social issues intersect with economic development. So
there is kind of an easy out for the conservatives in the state house, though.
Oh,
they can just do nothing. I mean, because they're already gay marriage is already banned under state law.
Right.
So they can just simply say it's banned under state law. We have other priorities, which they definitely do.
Right.
And they can just not do anything and I think not really suffer for it.
And where I think it hits home is the rush to put it in the Constitution means to cast it in stone or in granite basically rather than limestone. Yeah. I don't know. But, if a court overturns it, a court overturns it.
Right, and polling actually would indicate that they probably have an uphill battle for a constitutional amendment because it would have to be approved by a majority of Hoosier voters. And it appears right now that the polling is obviously moved. Indiana, as the rest of the country, is right. Trending in the direction of supporting equal rights for homosexuals. So it would seem that they may have a difficult time, even if they were to pass it in the State House, of getting the voters as a whole to ratify that amendment.
Well, and here's the political ramifications of this possible ramifications is, okay, so you decide you want to have a vote on gay marriage. It becomes, the conservatives, tend to come out anyway at the polls. What this could do is this could drive a huge turnout by liberals and by moderates to defeat this constitutional amendment, and that could have down-ticket implications for the midterm elections, for instance, the congressional elections, which would be huge for Indiana if they put some more moderates in Congress instead of some of the ultra conservative types. So so from a conservative standpoint, you got to pick your battles. Is this a battle that you want to try to win, and at what cost? That's something they're going to have to think about.
Right. Well, it certainly backfired on them in the U.S. Senate race last year when they put in who they thought was a more conservative candidate in Richard Murdoch, and he ended up getting beat by the Democrat Joe Donnelly. So
right.
Let's move shift locally. We've been talking a lot this summer about rising number of homicides, gang-related violence, particularly in the northern part of Lake County, and some meetings took place among police agencies to try to figure out how to best attack the problem. And this morning we saw the announcement of this new effort dubbed STOP. That will be kind of a coalition of a number of police agencies in the region targeting this very issue.
Well, right, and this has some precedent already because you've got any number of task forces. The high intensity drug trafficking area. There are ridge communities that have where they're policing other communities. So that those along Ridge Road
Right.
are cooperating in that regard. I think you're going to be seeing this. I think, interestingly to me at least, and the Major Crimes Task Force, I should
Right.
absolutely include in this. But what this comes down to me is looking at the Good Government report from the Good Government Initiative came out with saying, in essence, you need to consolidate to save money and operate more efficiently. This is not consolidation, but this is the cooperation that's certainly going to help them operate more efficiently. Crime's not limited to one community.
Definitely. And Mark Becker is kind of spearheading this,
right.
The Chicago Police Chief, and he's, I think, an interesting choice. Prior to being Chicago Police Chief, he was Police Chief at Portage, and prior to that, he worked in the local FBI office. So he, I think, has a lot of experience working across agencies and has those contacts. And so I think he'll be an effective person to lead the effort.
Yeah, he's got the great skill set for this. I wish them all the luck.
Yep. They'll need it. So, and staying in Lake County for our third topic, we should talk about E911 consolidation and that effort, which has been really kind of just stop and start recently. Well, we found out the latest news is that an accounting report came out that local Lake County communities would have to pony up, I think, $6.6 million annually. And so it would not be the tremendous financial savings that maybe some envisioned that the consolidation would bring.
Well, and I think part of that is that the communities have pretty well negotiated the terms of the surrender for the consolidated service, and those terms include protecting employees that they have, and frankly, if you have a consolidated service, do you really need as many employees as you had before? That's typically where you'll find the savings. Look also at what they're doing. They're putting a lot of capital into this, so that's an expensive.
Upgraded, modernized equipment, which you would think would also add to the reliability, the effectiveness of the service, which is important. When you're in an emergency and minutes and seconds matter, you want the most reliable service. So maybe even if it isn't a cost savings, if it's more effective, it's worth the effort. And
the consolidation is going to be more effective, even if they have the same equipment, perhaps, because then, but they won't. But even if you equalize everything else, the value of the consolidation is having essentially a single dispatcher be able to help you from one community to the next to the next to the next, as consider a car chase, for instance. It starts in Lake Station, it ends up in Cedar Lake. You're going to have the same dispatcher helping the police in each one of those communities.
And also consider the increasing reliance on cell phones rather than landlines. Landlines were convenient for a time because they were you knew exactly where that landline was coming from. Cell phones are a little bit more, nebulous in that way. So,
and this is the consolidations being done under threat, basically. I mean it took a state law to force Lake County to do this, as with many other counties. It's just Lake County has more communities, and
more stakeholders to keep happy.
More stakeholders, and more cats to herd, basically. So it's tricky.
Well, we'll see how that herding goes in the weeks to come, and we thank you for watching this week, and we'll be back next week with another political roundtable.